All right, guys, this is lesson 1-1. We are talking about solids and nets today. The first word is a definition. It's a net is a 2D diagram that you can fold to form a 3D figure. A net shows all the surfaces of a figure in one view, such as when a box is unfolded. So we're looking at this net right here. It's going to make a cube because all of the sides are squares. And we're going to fold it in 1 second. In class, I had physical cubes or physical nets that we use to fold into our cubes. And I think that that's super helpful. So if you were not in class, I would maybe consider drawing a cube and cutting it out and trying to manipulate it with your hands instead of just looking at the paper. For those of us who are more hands-on learners, that's really helpful. If you are very visual, that's fine. Go ahead and keep looking just at the paper. It describes pretty well what we're going to do. So the sides are labeled A, B, C, D, E, and F, and it says we're going to fold it and we're going to decide what letters are on top and the front. So we're going to fold it so that A, C, E, and F all share an edge with D. So I'm going to have A and D will share an edge when I fold A back and D back a little bit. And then E and F will fold so that they also share edges with D as well. We will only visibly be able to see 2 of those sides when we look at the cube. I want you to think about, as we wrap around this C right in the front, that's a solid that looks a little bit different because I'm folding everything else back behind it. A wraps around, joins with the D to become the back of the cube. B becomes the left side. F folds down to become the bottom. If that's the case, then the letter on top of the cube should be, if F is at the bottom, then E, as in elephant, should be at the top. On the front, we kept C centered, and it looks like a D is still there on the right side, so this front face should be C as in cat. All right. Feel free to, again, manipulate it if you need to so you can see why that works. We're going to keep this shape, but we're just going to turn it slightly. So instead of facing C towards us, we're going to face B as in banana towards us. So if B is facing us, what letter should be on top? Yes, E as an elephant still stays on top. And then on the right, we moved, so B is now the front, so that means C goes to its right. So we just adjusted, just turned it a little bit. If you have any questions on that, let me know. If you're feeling good, awesome, let's keep moving. Okay, next one is a true or false. Before we even do this true or false, let's draw the net. I told you today is about nets. Let's draw a net. So I see this shape right here. I'm going to focus on its base, the bottom, and then build from there. So this base, a lot of us thought it looked like a square. It only looks like a square because of the scale of how it's drawn. But as you see, it's labeled one side is 7, one side is 4. By definition, a square must have all 4 sides that are equal. This is not it. So instead, I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to write 7 there, and I'm going to write 4 here. From that, we have a couple different directions we can go. I think the next most obvious shape are the triangles that can be attached to the top and the bottom, essentially, of this base when I cut everything up and fold it down. So I'm going to put the triangles on the bottom and on the top. And each of them are 10 on each side. Okay. What's left then are these rectangles that connect my triangles together. So I'm going to draw those connected to the base, flared out off to the side. So here's a rectangle. It's a 4 by 10 rectangle. And here's another rectangle, another 4 by 10 rectangle. Now, you don't have to have a beautiful looking sketch. Mine does not look very nice. All I wanted to do, though, is to help me understand what's happening. And so it doesn't have to be beautiful or super precise in order to tell me what's going on. I'm going to use a super rough sketch in order to answer these true and falses. The first one says 3 of the faces are rectangles. Well, let's look at my diagram. 1, 2, 3. That's true. 3 of them are rectangles. So I'm going to say true. The next one says 4 of the faces are triangles. Well, let's count them. 1, 2. Oh, that's false. No way can 4 of them be triangles. Only 2 of them are. Only 2. And then last, the figure has 5 faces in all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's true. Now, I did call the first shape I drew, that rectangle in the middle, the 7x4, I did call that the base. It still counts as a face of the shape though. A base is just a special type of face, but they're all considered faces. All right, so that's true, easy, just counted them up. Part B says circle the net that represents the figure above. This one matches exactly what we've got. It's got 1, 2, 3 rectangles and 1, 2 triangles. And so as soon as I saw that, I know that those are not my options. All right, number 3 says circle the net that you cannot fold into a cube. Let's think about it. The first one looks like the net that I gave you in the very initial problem, so that one's okay. This one right here, this one is the one we can't fold into the cube. Do you know why? We have an extra box somewhere. It's either this box right here is an extra one or the one below it is an extra. We cannot have all of these boxes right here next to each other. You can't have that because then we can't fold things together to make a cube. If so, this would just have to fold up and then I would only be able to like fold one up from there. We would just have an incomplete shape. If we could cut this out, I could show you exactly what that looks like. But let's think about it. If you have this square next to 1, 2, 3, we aren't able to fold and tuck like we want to. So that causes a problem. That's why it's not. This T is very similar to this cross that we had over here. Just fold this guy all the way around and he will make a cube. All right, let's go to the back side. This one says, draw a net for the rectangular prism shown. Label the net with its dimensions. So we're gonna draw this out. There's no one right way to do it. There's a couple different ways to do it. Actually, let me make it a little bit more exact. Okay. The reason I did that is to help me make sure the measurements make sense. I know that the long part is the 5, so all of these guys right here are all 5s. Now, I focus on the base, that's where I started. So my base is 5 by 1. So that means all of these little pieces right here are 1. But the 1 is not my height of the entire box, it's a 2. So on the little corners, I have to have 2 to show how tall it goes. Now that being said, when I start to unroll this rectangular prism, then this side right here, this front face, it's not 5 by 1, it's 5 by 2. So then my next rectangle is going to have 2s on the sides. And the one next to it as well up here is going to have 2s. And then the last one's going to be 1s. So think about kind of alternating 2s, 5 by 2s, and then these are the 5 by 1s. And then the last one are these 1 by 2s, and those are like the corner pieces that fold up. Okay. That can be tricky. I messed it up the first time too, so double check yourself. It's not just 5 and 1s or 5 and 2s. All right. Next we have, this is the last one. You can use your manipulative that we did at the beginning, or you can just kind of think your way through this. It says 4 of the 5 other letters will touch some side of face B when the net is folded into a cube. What letter is on the side that will not touch face B? Okay, so if I just highlight B right here, I can physically see that A and C are already touching it. And then when I loop E down and F up, I know that those will also touch it. That leaves me D, as in dog, will never, ever, ever touch face B. If B gets to be in the front of the cube as I fold everything back, D as in dog will go to the back, and E as in elephant stays on the front. It stays on the top, excuse me, it stays on the top. Okay. All right, that's all for nets today. If you have any questions, please let me know.